Hey everyone, welcome to Tuesday Nights Live. I'm Jacqui Lewis. I am the clinical nutritionist for BN Multi. And every week we meet here at 7 p.m. and we chat about the questions from the group during the week. Hopefully I help you to answer any questions you have. So each week, if you get the opportunity, please contribute your questions. I'm sure they're helping everybody, and they also get posted to the Australian Weight Loss Surgery podcast website. So we're compiling a massive compilation of all the most common questions so that future patients and you can visit the site and get the support you need. So welcome and thanks for joining us today. We're just going to go through, sorry, I'm just trying to scroll through something, through a range of questions from the week. I'm hoping that I can see the questions as I go because I want to ask you a few things. Yes, there it is. So this week we had a few questions from our lovely group members. If you have other friends who are on the same journey as you and you think they would benefit from being a part of our group, you're most welcome to invite them along. And basically help them to learn a few things along the way as well. So this week, Penny Vickers, hi Penny, Penny's done some extraordinary landscaping and gardening and all sorts of stuff and growing a lot of her food. She's been really a big part of the contribution to the 50 Foods Challenge as well, which I'll talk about later on. And Penny said she's getting hungry at night. And probably because I'm not eating enough during the day. And that will happen. Do you have any hacks for getting more nutrition in early in the day when I don't feel hungry? I have a band which seems to be tighter in the morning, so I want less food then, but I pay for it later on the day. And that will always happen. It seems that what you don't do at some point, you make up for it. And sometimes it can mean that you overeat in the evenings as well if you're hungry and making up for what you've missed out on during the day. And I don't know if I'm right here in this situation with a band because I haven't had that experience myself. I wonder if you're not hungry in the morning because you just don't have the digestive stimulation that you need. So some people can really be quite happy not eating until lunchtime, which tells me that there may not be enough of a kickstart to the digestion. So there are some things you can do to encourage that. Generally, it could be dehydration. You could start the day with some water and some lemon juice, things that are going to activate stomach acid and enhance your enzymatic activity, or just try to really find something that sits well in the morning with you, even if it's a shake that you sip over the course of an hour or so, that could also work. But generally, if you're not feeling hunger in the morning, it's not that the band is looser or tighter, in my understanding. It's more that your digestion's not kicking off and starting the day, and that's why you're likely to be hungry later on after you've probably eaten something or put something in there that's getting the digestive process going. There are things you can do like some apple cider vinegar. I never recommend you just try random things without some guidance. We use zinc, B group and apple cider vinegar, not all together. You could create a perfect storm there, to encourage a little bit of digestive activity, increasing stomach acid and stimulating the digestive process. The other thing that could maybe work, and I've never really tried it, is like the digestive process starts in the mouth. So if you're chewing something, it'll actually kick off your digestion and the whole process of getting ready to accept food. So that might be something to do, is maybe try something that requires quite a bit of mastication and chewing before you swallow it in the mornings, just to get things started. But you could start with lemon juice and water in the morning, or just a little bit of warm water with a small portion, tiny little bit of apple cider vinegar in there. Be very careful with that. It can cause more discomfort than cause you benefit, bring you benefit. So then, yeah, if you're hungry if you know you're not eating as much as you could be in the morning and you're hungry in the afternoon, it would be worth, or the evening, it'd be worth seeing if you can fit more food in around lunchtime, or making sure that your snacks are quite substantial. If you know you're missing breakfast, it's almost like a fasting period. So if you know that, if you finished eating at 8 p.m. last night and you're starting again not until sort of 10 o'clock or lunchtime, you've missed a whole meal, which is generally, 300 calories at least, 20 grams of protein and some other nutrients as well. So you really need to look at, if you do start eating later in the day, look at what you're eating and increasing the nutritional value of that. So it could be things like, a substantial snack followed by a substantial meal and another snack in the afternoon, and then your dinner, so that you're really your what we call eating window is between, say, 10 or 11 a.m. and 8 p.m. and then call it off at 8 p.m. but see if you can really squeeze in your day's food intake in that what we call a feeding window. And there's nothing wrong with a long fast. You could have a look into if that's what your body's doing, you could just leverage it, but you do need to make sure that your meals are making up your nutritional deficit. So the intermittent fasting is generally a window of about 10 to 12 or 12 to 14 hours where you don't eat anything. So you're doing that. It also does have some benefits, has some health benefits. Helps with what we call autophagy. So it's like a detoxification process for the brain. It kind of gives the body a rest from digesting things and lets it do other more important jobs like maintain your brain health, and it sets your circadian rhythms quite well, and also helps with melatonin, so your sleep-wake cycles are more clearly defined. And sometimes you'll find you're balanced, your mood is more balanced, but if your blood sugars are too low and you're in that fasting stage, it can mean that you're uncomfortable. So it's a very personal thing. And yeah, when you are hungry and you are wanting to snack, it's making sure you don't have stuff on hand that you shouldn't, but that are not in your best health interest. So if you know that you're just not cracking that morning and you're not able to get a breakfast in, it's making sure that whatever's on hand at night is your food intake for the day. So it might not be a bad thing that you're eating at night, but it's what you're eating. So it's making sure that it's maybe another meal, or a shake of some sort, smoothie with some good nutrition in it. I think I answered that question in the end. Thank you. And so Lynette Hogan has a question. Has anyone used the hair, skin and nails supplements? Are they any help? I've always had weak nails. Could they help? I'm concerned also about hair loss. I did a podcast on hair loss not that long ago, so it's on the AWLS podcast website, so you can have a look at that. Weak and splitting nails or poorly formed nails are a sign of nutritional deficiency, and generally it's linked to protein, either lack of protein or poor protein absorption. It's also linked to B group and iron. Flaky splitting nails could be calcium deficiency. So the hair, skin and nails formulas are generally zinc, something else, biotin. They're nice, but I don't think they are game changing. Some people think that they are the key. Other people find that if they're taking their multi every day twice and they're taking their hair, skin and nails, there's too much zinc and you start to bump out other minerals like copper and iron. So you need to be aware that more of some minerals is not always better, and you can actually set up like a competitive environment for absorption of certain nutrients. So really, our formulation is based on the research into what's going to keep your body functioning optimally if you take it twice a day. So adding things into that sometimes feels like the right thing to do, but generally it's more about supporting it with your food. Take your multi, take your protein, make sure you're meeting your protein needs, and also include some good fats. So on the on our website, and I'll also post an image of it in the group, the hair loss is often linked to the poor nails in a lot of ways, but generally there are some nutrients in common with fingernails and the hair loss. So it's more about making sure all of those ducks are in a row and that you've got your protein on board. On the back of our hair loss flyer is a recommended schedule of kind of what nutrients you should have in how much each day to make sure you're not losing your hair. A lot of it comes down to iron deficiency with the hair loss, and the nails, if they're spooning or they've got deep ridges in them, it can also be a sign of iron deficiency. And also, if you've got really pale nail beds, that's sometimes a sign or something that we connect and then check for iron deficiency as well. So if your hands are cold, or if you squeeze your fingernail like that and it doesn't bounce back to red quite quickly, it can mean that it's either B12 or iron is linked to those sorts of, we call it capillary return. So never add anything in unless your bloods are showing you don't have enough of it, would be my recommendation. And if something's happening like brittle nails or peeling, splitting nails and that sort of thing, check in with your bloods and say, look, I've got this going on. What are the nutrients linked to that, and what levels of each of those do I have? So really it's making sure it's kind of tailoring your nutrition to reflect what's going on in your body. I hope that was helpful too. Next question is Jody. Hi everyone, I'm 17 days post-op. Other than the BN multi, what other vitamins should I take? So again, I just answered that a minute ago. Always base it on your blood test results. More's not always better. I like to have enough that I know that some could wash through and they might be in excess, but water soluble vitamins like B group, C, those B's and C's will flush out if there's any excess. But if you look at, say, vitamin C, you can take 100 milligrams of vitamin C and most of that would be absorbed. And then when you start to increase the levels of the dose, so say you take 100 milligrams of vitamin C, majority of that will be absorbed. Then once you start to get up to 3,000 or 4,000, you reach a point where I think the absorption rate is about 23%. So there's an example that more isn't always better, but it does depend on your goal. So massive doses of vitamin C have been used for many different kind of immune system situations and that sort of thing. And of course, it's very helpful. Also helps your adrenals to replenish and that sort of thing. But even at a high dose, you're only absorbing a percentage of what you're taking in. So I would talk about not what other vitamins could you take. It's more being consistent, making sure you're quite religious with your supplementation so that it gives the body a chance to respond. If you take 2 multivitamins one day and then you don't do it again for another 4 days, your body is starting to run low on things. But also the regularity of exposure or the regularity of those vitamins going in is able to make these systems work more consistently and better. So it's more about not so much how much, it's more about how regular and how consistent you are. It's like anything else with health. If you're small steps regularly, you probably get a better result than large influx of a range of things that we don't know what we're doing. So always look at food as your support for anything else you'd like to put in, and get it looking at sort of what can you put into your body in every meal that has the biggest nutritional punch. rather than what other supplement can I take that will fill that gap. Same with protein. We always encourage you to try and meet your needs with food in that way as much as you can, and then just supplement with the recommended multi every day as well. If something's low and you does come up in your bloods that you've got something that is running low, of course you'll need to supplement with that particular nutrient for a period of time, and generally your dietitian will give you a recommended dose for that in a period of time, and then they'll check it again. So they'll say it's iron or vitamin D, you might have an extra tablet to take for a period of time until that level comes back up to normal, and then we just maintain it with your multi. So the multis are basically insurance policy. So you don't drive your car around without car insurance. After weight loss surgery, you can't drive your body around without some nutritional coverage and prevention of deficiency. Thank you. Serena Thompson says, I'm booked for a gastroscopy on the 14th of October and a sleeve to bypass on the 21st of October. It's a big couple of weeks. I'm currently 77 kg and the reflux is killing me. I'm taking more than 80 milligrams of Nexium a day. Is there any advice? I did look at this earlier and I thought it's likely your surgeon and your team at this point would be giving you a lot of advice, and that's why they've chosen to do the next revision for surgery. The best way to prepare for surgery is also through nutrition, so making sure that you're in its best nutritional shape as you can be. So perhaps a visit to your dietitian or your GP to run a set of nutritional bloods just to see where everything is before you have this next thing to deal with. That's often the best opportunity that you get. It's October, so we're in August. You've got a few months, so you could pop in if you haven't already, get your bloods done, find out if there's anything that you need to work on, and concentrate on that until you go into surgery. The other thing, if you've got a lot of reflux and they're doing, obviously it's a lot of Nexium, have a look at ways to support your gut health. So really, I would, if you were a patient of mine, I would remove processed food completely. Anything refined like breads, white foods, pasta, that sort of thing, anything that's got or pastry, all that sort of stuff would be out. Even I don't usually recommend gluten-free for any real non-medical reason, but eliminating those things that could be causing inflammation, reducing acid forming foods, nourishing the microbiome, increasing fiber, making sure you're drinking clean water, really nurturing that tummy, the whole gastrointestinal system, so that you can relieve as much as you possibly can before you go in to have the next operation. On our website, on the BN Multi website, there's a great book that's been written by a bariatric surgeon, Aaron Deere, and he's written a book. He's a bariatric surgeon for like 20 odd years now, 25 years. And he's written a book on healthy weight, healthy gut. And it's all about, repopulating the gut microbiome and supporting nutrition and, overall gut health. I think I just go on about it all day. But really, it is the seat of your health. So when something's not right in your tummy, it's affecting a lot of different systems. So it's something that you could look at. Basically, it's reducing fermentation of, the bad, we call them bad, bacteria that can get to be overgrown in a space where there's lots of sugar coming in or processed foods and that sort of thing. The not so friendly bacteria can thrive in that environment, and that means that food gets the opportunity to sit there and ferment and cause this refluxy situation. It can also be mechanical, so I'm talking more from a nutritional standpoint. But yeah, there's certainly have a look at Aaron's book, or do your own research on how to really regenerate that healthy digestive process as well. So thank you. I think that's the last question for today. The game last week was a bit of fun, and some of the answers were really quite elaborate, which was great. And the idea of it is I'm going to put in 4 or 5 questions every week, not every week, but every couple of weeks, for you to sort of go away with and read about. So my whole ethos of our group is to encourage you to learn and to have fun with learning about food and nutrition. So we had a few winners, which I'll announce in a minute, drum roll. But the questions last week were, what does calcium do for your body? Which foods contain calcium? What does haemoglobin do? What does iron do for our health? What foods contain iron, which I'll talk about this week too, because the 50 Foods Challenge, we're going to do iron-rich foods this week. So I'll talk about that in a minute. And which foods provide the mineral magnesium? So we had some great answers, and they're in the group still. Calcium helps you build and protect your bones. A calcium-rich diet, including dairy, nuts, leafy greens, and fish. Hemoglobin is a protein in your blood, which it is, and it helps to carry oxygen through the blood. And that's important as part of red blood cell health, iron sufficiency, thinking clearly, energy production, and feeling your best. And what else did we have? A couple of other questions I'll answer. Iron helps your red blood cells to carry oxygen around the body, giving you energy for your daily activities. It's also a mineral that the body needs for growth and development, as well as making some hormones. Excellent. I love it. And it also helps your thyroid, because iron is rich in oxygen, and iron oxygenates the blood, and the thyroid gland, which is the house of your metabolism and your thermoregulation, so the way that your body can regulate heat or cold. And also mental health is affected by thyroid function, nervous system. I think I read somewhere that there's about 20 systems that are affected when your thyroid's not working. So if your iron's low, your thyroid won't be as happy as it could be, and you'll find that weight loss isn't as good as it could be. So there's some motivation to make sure you've got enough iron on board. So this week's winners, this week you win a beautiful bento box, lunchbox from the Portion Shop and from us. And so if I read your name out, you just need to send us an email to support@bnmulti.com, and we will send you your prize. So this week, Mandy Searzerma and Shanine Ogden are our winners, because they put in the effort to make those great answers. And thank you everyone else for playing along. There will be more fun and games next week. Transformation Tuesday, we're doing prizes every second week, because we want to compile a whole range of good stories. In the podcast, what's in podcast land? On Sunday, I did a podcast with Associate Professor Michael Talbot from New South Wales, and we talked a lot about the different types of surgery and the application of those, and patient care, and when do you need a revision or don't you, or what are the steps in between a sleeve and a bypass. So it was actually wonderful to hear exactly so many different steps in between the decision of you've had one surgery and now you need another. There's a whole lot of things they do in between that really kind of support you before you have to make the plunge to have another big operation. So he was fascinating and very well respected in our bariatric realm, so I was pretty privileged to talk to him. Today I spoke to Amber Kay, and you'll meet Amber next week. She's coming on to the live, and Amber wrote, she co-wrote, she's a psychologist, and she co-wrote the book Get Back on Track After Weight Loss Surgery, and she's also co-founder of the Fresh Start program, and also another program that we're going to have on our site, which is called Ending Mindless Eating. She's also a mindset coach, and she's quite wonderful to talk to today. So we talked a lot about just how much your underlying thought patterns and your conditioning and your belief systems and your relationship with yourself affect your success over the longer term. So that we'll go into, it'll be on the podcast for next week. And also Amber's coming to be a part of the live on Tuesday next week. I'm bringing in this new segment that's called Live 5 in 5. So someone comes in, they've got amazing stuff to talk about. I'll have 5 questions. They have to answer them in 5 minutes and give you guys the idea of what it's all about. So Amber Kay will be with us next week, and she's done a special offer just for us where you get discounts on both programs. I just thought it was fascinating, and she's shared a lot. It was really quite information dense podcast. I think I also did a podcast on iron deficiency this week, which will be up on the website in the next couple of days. So always keep checking in and seeing what you can find. The last thing I wanted to ask, and that's why I'm trying to see what everybody's doing, here you are, is I would like to know what you would like to see more of in our group as far as the information that I share. I'd also like to know what you'd like to see more of in our lives, and also if there's anything you'd like to hear about in our podcast. So your input really helps us to form the next thing for us, because our job is to, create the best platform of information for you and what you're looking for. So just in the comments, if you can just leave me even one thing that you'd like to know more about, and whether, if we've got any gaps in our service at the moment. So wherever you are in Australia or in somewhere around the world, I hope you're all safe and well, and I hope that if you're from Melbourne that you're hanging in there. And yeah, we're thinking of you all, and my family are all in Melbourne, so it's a bit of a hard time. So thanks for tuning in, and have a wonderful week. See you soon.